I'm a diagnosed sociopath and people always ask me about love bombing. Firstly, is it intentional? No, not often, but sometimes it is. We tend to get bored quickly and frequently. So when we meet a new person, we're suddenly very excited by them and all our attention seems to go that way. But we don't love a real person. We create an image in our heads of you, something that you can never live up to. Once we realize this, we tend to get bored and we will discard. That's unfortunately the cycle of love bombing. When I find someone to terrorize, I go nuclear. People usually start at 10%, I go straight to 100%. This leaves people thinking, what did I do to deserve this? You crossed me. That's what you did. So if you want me to lose interest in you, be as boring as possible. While me and people like me are starting smear campaigns against you, you need to grey rock. Show no signs of weakness. Make it feel like my attacks are doing nothing to you, particularly emotionally. What you non-sociopaths don't understand, life is about pretend. My entire life is a lie. And I've always made other people feel like shit. Is it possible to train yourself to become one of us? Not officially, but you could be close. Would you do something against your morality every single day? And by this I mean, could you backstab your best friend without feeling remorse? Could you smear someone's reputation if you're going up against them for a promotion? Most people would lose a lot of sleep over this. And from the comments section, it seems like you're really like empathy and guilt. Guilt is completely lost on me and everybody like me. Once I've done something, it's like it doesn't exist anymore. I have done some objectively horrible things and slept perfectly fine that night. Now, this is not something I think you guys can do. This is not a challenge.
This is a sickness of the highest order.
Narcissism is something that plagues our society because the culture demands it. The culture wants people to be narcissists. They want to be full of ego, full of their identity and what they think is who they are, and they feel victimized whenever someone doesn't recognize their identity, and so they can play the victim and they can be the center of the universe because everything is happening to them. Does this sound familiar? Working as EMS, I've come across the victim mentality time and time again, and they all have the same lines, they all have the same script, they all blame something else. They never point the mirror on themselves. Saw the TikToker in the beginning talking about sociopathy and how she doesn't care about empathy, that she doesn't even feel it. It's lost on her.
Life is about pretend. My entire life is a lie. And I've always made other people feel like
Life is a movie and we're all acting. We're all acting for each other. But you got some bad actors out here, such as this young lady right here, right? She purposely portrays herself in one way and is feeling the other way. This is a very chameleon-esque vibe where the person is changing their color based on who is watching them, who is observing them. You never really truly know this person because they're just putting on a show for you specifically. When I started my spiritual journey, I came across a couple of individuals who had this type of personality, and it would surprise me because I'm thinking spirituality is all about self-reflection and understanding self through this journey of life. But no, there's levels to this. There's people that just wear the cosmetics of spirituality without doing the internal work, right? They don't sit down and meditate, think, reflect, or none of that. They just buy some crystals, get some incense, and they're like, I'm spiritual. Within the skater community, we call these types of people posers, right? You know, posers that want to look cool, they want to be a part, they want to be involved, but they don't actually get involved. They just want the image of being involved.
What bothers you? People who's not comfortable with themselves. That scares me. I've known people who only like stuff because either I like it or it's the cool thing to like or things like that, and these people aren't comfortable with themselves.
Thing to do.
They'll base their opinion off someone else's opinion because they don't want to be like the odd man out. Like, that's what scares me.
What I notice about fake people is that they don't take the time to learn anything. They don't take the time to understand another person. They don't take the time to understand themselves. They don't take the time to understand what they're getting involved in.
We tend to get bored quickly and frequently. So when we meet a new person, we're suddenly very excited by them and all our attention seems to go that way. But we don't love a real person. We create an image in our heads of you, something that you can never live up to. Once we realize this, we tend to get bored and we will discard.
The thing about these individuals is that their motivations are primarily centered on self-gratification. From their perspective, they only see other people as objects for their endless desire of becoming the greatest one of all of us. They don't have real opinions. They don't have real emotions. They only have tactics on how to control another person. And they control you through your emotions. These are the bad actors because they purposely use their emotional state to put other people in a low vibrational state of guilt or shame. And now they can play the victim card and have power over the person that feels guilty for doing said thing. These tactics don't work on me anymore because I've come to understand how to dismantle these types of people. Let's take it back to this saying, life is a movie and we're all actors. Whoever is controlling the narrative is controlling and directing the act. The narrative is the story that takes place between characters. Now, what sociopath narcissists like to do is they like to inject their pre-scripted, already, problematic script within the story that you're both playing in. This script is used to combat all of your objections to their control over you. This is where they gaslight you, they project all of their insecurities on you, they do all the manners in which to get to your emotions. They want to disturb you.
When I find someone to terrorize, I go nuclear. People usually start at 10%, I go straight to 100%. This leaves people thinking, what did I do to deserve this? You crossed me. That's what you did. So if you want me to lose interest in you, be as boring as possible. While me and people like me are starting smear campaigns against you, show no signs of weakness. Make it feel like my attacks are doing nothing to you, particularly emotionally.
Emotional damage
is what they're after. So you have to learn how to control your emotions or else someone else is going to control it for you. How can we control our emotions when these people are so easy to fall for? Well, I have a way of discerning, okay? We have a book here. The Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita. This book is a must-have for mental clarity because I read this every day. There's a couple scriptures in here which helped me with the same dilemma of discerning people's motivations within my life. There is true knowledge. Learn thou it is this, to see one's changeless life in all lives, and in the separate one inseparable. There is imperfect knowledge, that which sees the separate existence apart, and in being separated holds them real. There is false knowledge, that which blindly clings to one as if 'twere all, seeking no cause, deprived of light, narrow and dull and dark. Then there's vain action, that which men pursue, aching to satisfy desires, impelled by sense of self, with all absorbed stress. This is of Rajas, passionate and vain. There is dark action, when one doth a thing, heedless of issues, heedless of the hurt or wrong of others, heedless of the harm, his own soul, 'tis of Thomas, black and bad. There is the rightful doer, he who acts free from self-seeking, humble, resolute, steadfast, in good or evil hap the same, content to do the right he truly acts. There is the impassioned doer, he that works from impulse, seeking profit, rude and bold, to overcome, unchastened, slave by turns of sorrow and joy. And there be evil doers, loose of heart, low-minded, stubborn, fraudulent, remiss, dull, slow, despondent, children of the dark. The children of the dark are the ones who stay in ignorance, the ones who promote ignorance, ignorance of self, promoting separation, that I am not one with you and you are not one with me, and we should be at odds for each other. It's just foolishness, foolish antics that happen amongst people with idle minds. It's just like that African meme.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
Reason for this, where we can take this to a scientific level now, is people get used to adrenaline. They get used to the cortisol, the dopamine, the serotonin release that happens every time they're within conflict. So they like the way how they feel when they're in conflict, because that's when they get those brain chemicals. This is why they're children of darkness, because their only motivation is stimulation. It's just hitting that same receptor over and over. That's all it is. It's not about interacting with people and really like making a connection in life and really understanding yourself through the process. No, it's like Pavlov's dog. Like you just ring a bell, or you just hit a button in your head. Instant gratification is one of the telltale signs of someone motivated by the darkness. They just want to ring a bell in their head and you're just their little scapegoat to get there. You know, they're just going to use you to get that dopamine rush in their head. And it all ties into the story of the scorpion and the frog. The scorpions of the world are people who just want to ring that bell in their head. They just want to get that dopamine release and feel good by themselves. They want their body to feel good. And they'll use you to get there, like a scorpion who jumps on the frog's back to cross the river. And how did that story end again? It ended with both of them dying in vain because the scorpion couldn't control his impulses. But the frog believed that he could, and now he's gone. Now he's gone for his kind-hearted gesture. So it's to show you that people will use your kind-hearted nature, they will use your empathy, and they will just kill you. And the thing about these individuals is that they are severely immature. Severely. Like, they don't see what they're doing as an impact to the situation. They're severely immature. So there's no reasoning with these types of archetypical characters. The only thing that we can do as children of the light is being aware of the emotional manipulation, because being aware of it brings more clarity to your character. And when you're less confused as a character, you're less controllable. I don't care what you think, as long as you're thinking for yourself. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day. Take care, guys.